Is Chaim David,
no. That's it.
Okay, so this is Daf Lamed on the bottom, and it's interesting. The rest of the parak, more or less, is the new subject about nedarim, and that is what a person meant by a certain term. It's going to go through certain terms and say what do they mean. At the beginning of the parak was about exceptions, that cases where the neder doesn't take effect, like nidrei zruzin, havai, onsin, shkogos. Now it goes into the subject. What does a person mean by certain terms? And it's very interesting because the whole issue has to do with the time and the place. It's not halacha. It has to do with lashon b'nei adam, what people mean when they speak so. And the Mishnah itself would agree, l'chora, that at a different time and place, it means different things. So it's interesting why the Mishnah went to the trouble of telling us all these examples if they're only in that particular time and place. We have to always update it. When people are talking, what do they mean? So I don't know what there is. Why? I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question. How come the Mishnah goes through so many examples to explain what they meant at that time and place? So here goes. I know them Yodei Hayam. Yodei Hayam would we call sailors. That's what we would say usually. People that go to seafarers. So Mutta B'Yoshvei Habasha. So then he only made a neder that he's not going to benefit whatever, benefit them, benefit from them, to them. So then that only includes people who are sailors, but Yoshvei Habasha, people that are living on the dry land, so they're not included because he said, I'm answering sailors, I'm not answering Yoshvei Habasha, people, inhabitants of the dry land. But the opposite, if he said Yoshvei Habasha, people that are on the dry land, does he come to exclude sailors? Asam Yodei Hayam, because they also live on the dry land. Sheyodei Hayam, B'chlal Yoshvei Habasha, even though they do go sailing for a couple of months even. But okay, we'll see about that. But that's they also land inhabitants. So therefore, Yoshvei Habasha would include everybody. The Mishnah ends up to be magdir, what is called Yodei Hayam, what's called a sailor, l'chor Yodei Hayam, and there's going to be a question what it's referring to, but we would explain this. Lo kil elu sholchim me'akol yafo, ela b'misha da'akol l'farish. Not the farish. That's not. We don't mean to say people that take a little bit a ferry trip, so to speak. Akol and Yafo are very close to each other. And there was a ship that there was traveling. And nowadays, I would say we give an example of people from Brooklyn to go to Staten Island. So there's a ferry. So that's not called that you go to Verrazano, then you're going on the bridge. But if you go on the ferry, so is that called that you're a seafarer? That's not. So that's what it says. Someone he goes on a trip. He goes, he sets sail, and he goes like we call a sailor. So that's the Mishnah. The people that are Yodei Hayam means only people that are Yodei Hayam and not people that live on the dry land. But everybody lives on the dry land. Even the seafarers also come back onto the dry land. That includes everybody. Then the Mishnah said, yes, please.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Lefarish here means to leave the dry land.
So that's the idea. It's definitely the idea. What does the word literally mean? Some say to
separate from dry land, because like from Yafo to Akko, you're going to go back on dry land. The idea is to get to dry land. Here, you're going to be out. Is that?
Everyone's eventually going to come to the dry land. Even if they go overseas, they're also going to get to the dry land on the other side. But the point is that they're going for a far journey. The point of the word means something about a far journey. And the question is what the word literally means. Some do explain the far race with a sin, which would mean like to set sail. The prasim, the mifrasim, the sails. Some say it means like setting sail. But the idea is, well, if you say with a shin, also it means like this to go away, to set apart. He sets apart. It could be that Akan Yafa also, they're going alongside the shore. They're just going alongside the shore. They're not going deep into the ocean. So it means that they're separating. They're going further away. And whatever the word literally might mean, that maybe it might be more investigation. But the idea is that they're going, as we would call them, that they're setting sail. They're going out. They're going out into the ocean. So the Gemara wants to know this last parentheses over here in the Mishnah that I just put the parentheses. What is it referring to? There's a Reisha and a Seifa. The Reisha talks about he made a neder that he's not going to benefit from the Yodei Hayam, and the Seifa was where it talks about the Yoshvei Habasha that also includes Yodei Hayam. So how do you read? Where do you insert the information that Yodei Hayam does not mean we'll call them ferry riders? It means sailors. So where do you put that in? The Papa Babacha Beid Rav Yeshua Ika. Have a machlokes how to explain the end of the Mishnah. Chad masnia reisha, chad masnia seifa. One says it's going on the reisha of Yod Hayam, and one says it's going on the seifa when it explains Yoshua Hayabasha. What does that mean? Mandatani reisha masniachi. If you go on the reisha, you want to insert the parentheses in the reisha. What would it mean? I know the Yod Hayam mutav Yoshua Hayabasha. The Mishnah says that if somebody says he's a neder, he's not going to benefit from the sailors, so he's mutter in the land inhabitants, but he is also in the sailors. Who's called a sailor? Who's called a sailor? So the Mishnah says someone who goes for a ferry ride is not called a sailor. The people who just go from Makar Yafo, they go for a little ferry ride, that's not going to be called a sailor. Those are called Yoshua Basha, and they're not included in Yodayam. So in the Reisha, when it says only somebody that sets sail, that goes away. So that's maybe the way we learned. I guess we would have learned that way. That on the ratio, when you say a sailor, you mean a sailor. And if the Asr is sailors, who's going to be Asr? Sailors, but not people that go for not ferry riders. Seems simple. But the Gemara says that those that learn the Mishnah differently, those who say that it's going on the Sefer say the following. I know the Meshve Abasha Asr b'Yodei Hayam, be'elu ha'olchem ha'akol liyafol bilvad, el afilu b'misha dakol leforish, hoel v'sofo li'abasha soli. It says if somebody made a net, he's not going to benefit from the land inhabitants, so he is usher in the sailor. Now you might say, no, he's usher. I said the word sailor. He's usher in those that go into the yam. You might say that what does it mean that he's usher in those that go into the yam? If he's a real sailor, you might think that the Mishnah doesn't mean that. He's mamish a sailor, that he goes out for big trips a month at a time, 6 months at a time. No, that doesn't mean Yoshua Basha. Yoshua just means the ferry riders. You might think so. So the Mishnah says no. Not only ferry riders are included in Yoshua Basha, even the sailors that go for 6 months at a time, the big sailors. They also call Yoshua Basha. All the Sofo, the Yabasha. So look at the end, everybody has to go onto the Yabasha. They don't stay indefinitely on the Yam. That's not the human condition. They have to come back onto dry land. So everyone's called a dry land. We would say both of them are true. If we would learn the Mishnah, we would say that, yeah, that's true. That in the ratio, when you say a sailor, you mean a real sailor, not a ferry rider. And in the Sefer, when it says that everyone is considered Yoshua Basha, not only the ferry riders, even the sailors are also considered. We would say everything is true. But the Gemara seems to make a machlokas out of it. And the Iran explains that the one who learns it on the Sefer doesn't want to say it in the Reisha. He wants to say that if somebody is noted Meyodei Hayam, then it doesn't only mean a sailor. Even if he is only a ferry rider, he's also included the Yodei Hayam, and he's going to be Asr. Means the one who says in the Reisha, he says if someone asks himself from Yodei Hayam, he's mutter in land inhabitants, and we would say that the first way of learning would say that you know who's Yodei Hayam, who is the Yasser? Only a real sailor. But if he said another Yodei Hayam, he'd be mutter in ferry riders. But the one who learns it in the Sefer, he says it's dafka in the Sefer. But I'm not going to explain the relation like that. What does he mean to say? That if somebody says he's Yasser from Yodei Hayam, he's Yasser even in a ferry rider. Only in the Sefer when it says that Yoshua Basha includes even Yodei Hayam, there it says everyone's called Yoshua Basha. Everyone comes back to the dry land, even a real sailor. But in the ratio that it says that there's such a thing as making an Isser on Yodei Hayam, the second Mandamar is going to say that over there Yodei Hayam means even a ferry rider. So it comes out of Machlokas Amarim, how to learn the Mishnah, and it comes to Nafkamina would be if someone says I'm Asr in Yodei Hayam, does he also include ferry riders or not? The Mefarshim say it brings down the Ram brings down a Rashba that even if you say it does include a ferry rider, it means somebody who's frequent ferry rider. But if he but one time he went to the Statue of Liberty and he went on a ferry over there. We're not going to say he went to Yodei Hayam because one time in his life. That means that he's every week. That's how he travels to Staten Island, something like that. So that's machlokas. What does it mean nowadays? I think again, if we're going to say for the whole parak, nowadays you have to ask people what do people mean when they say this word. If someone's going to say it's the word sailor in English, surely he means a sailor. He doesn't mean a ferry rider. So the seafarers, what is the word seafarer? Also not going to call it the ferry riders. So it depends on the time and place, how people use the language. Next Mishnah. Another may roe chama. If someone made a neder, I'm not going to benefit from roe chama, which would mean literally sun seers. Sun seers. So you might say that only means people who see the sun. and people who can't see the sun, they're not included. So you might think that a blind person would be excluded. No, Asra assuming even a blind person is included. Why? He doesn't see the sun. It doesn't mean a person, sun seers doesn't mean the person who sees the sun. It means the person that the sun sees. And the sun sees everybody. It means everybody that the sun sees. How do you know he means that? Maybe he means the one who sees the sun. My time, if he meant to say people that could see and exclude people who don't see, so he shouldn't bring in the sun. He should say, I make a neder from all those that see. If he meant to exclude blind people, he should have said anybody that sees, leave out the word chama. The fact that he says sun seers, he means something else. So he must have meant to those that the sun sees. So who's excluded there? The sun sees everything. That fish the sun doesn't see because they're on the ground and underwater, and ubrim that they weren't born yet, so they're not seen by the sun. That would be the expression that he means to say. So what have we done from this? I guess in English also, someone would say all sun seers. Why should he call sun seers if he just means to say people that could see, and he meant to exclude blind people? He would have just said people that see. The fact that he said sun seers, we would explain that it means that the sun see. And again, it could be depends on the language of people, what they mean when they talk, and you have to investigate every generation. The next one, Hanoder Mishchorei Rosh. It's going easy, right? Everything's smooth sailing today. Hanoder Mishchorei Rosh. Literally, it means blackheads. People would have black hair. That's what we would say. So you might think that people who have black hair, they're going to be included. People who don't have black hair, either they have no hair or they have white hair. You might say excluded. It says no. Even bald are included, and a seva means an old man that has already white hair or whatever. That's not old, whatever, white hair. No, everyone's included. He means men. What does he mean to exclude? He's coming to exclude women. They're not called shchorei rosh, even though they have black hair. And he's coming to exclude ktanim. They also have black hair. And for some reason, they're not included. When a person says shchorei rosh in that time and place, shchorei rosh meant men. That's the way you refer to men, shchorei rosh. You don't call women shchorei rosh. Why? It was going to say because they cover their hair. So you don't see the black hair. And children, you don't call shchorei rosh for a reason that the Gemara is going to say, and everyone can help me figure it out. The Gemara is the kasha. My timer. How come it includes bald? He said black hair. They don't have black hair. Because then he should have just said if they have hair. Why say black hair? So black hair doesn't mean to exclude bald people. So it doesn't mean that. Even if he has no hair, right now he has no hair. And then also the Gemara doesn't explain how come it's about the Bali Sabers. That needs a little bit more explanation. If he has white hair, look, he could have expressed himself differently. The fact that he said shchorei rosh, that means just to exclude men, women, and children, not to exclude bald people or white-haired people. And why should that be? That's the Mishnah. Quoting the Mishnah, says that shchorei rosh is only referring to men, and it's coming to exclude women and children. My timer, anashim zimna the mixu rashayu zimna the miglu rashayu, avol nashim lo mixu, v'tanim lo miglu. For some reason, that way of talking meant men. Why is that? The words the Gemara, just to translate the words, the translation is easy, but the intention of the Gemara is a bit difficult. It says men. Sometimes they cover their hair, sometimes they uncover their head. Sometimes they cover their head, sometimes they uncover their head.
Sometimes they're wearing a kafiyah, sometimes they're not wearing a kafiyah.
Right. But women are always covered. They always cover their head, at least in public. And ketanim, they're always uncovered head. So does that explain? Does that explain anything? Why is that the reason why they call the men the black hair, black-headed, shchorei rosh, black-headed? Why are men only called that? Women, they're always covering their head, so you don't see the black hair. You don't see the black head. They have a color tichel, they have a white kerchief, so you don't see their black hair. So that's the reason why they don't refer to women as that. How come children? Children are always uncovered. So that needs explanation. The Gemara is not so clear. It means here the Gemara needs explanation. The fact that the children don't cover their head, why is that not a reason to call them the black-headed ones? So the Pshatim and the Mefarshim I don't understand so well. The Rosh says, I don't know what to say. I really don't know. Some talk about that when by children, both the boys and the girls, the Rosh says this, the boys and the girls, both of them are uncovering their heads, so that wouldn't be a way to distinguish between boys and girls. By adults, that is a way to distinguish because the men, you see their hair sometimes, the women you don't. So the way that it came to talk was when you wanted to say Men, you could say they're black-haired men. You don't have to mean black, it could be white, it could be bald, but it means that their head is uncovered. And it comes to exclude women, that they're not called that because they're always covered. And children, since they are uncovered, both the boys and the girls, so therefore that didn't become the way to distinguish between boys and girls to talk about the black head and to just call children. All the children are black-headed. So it came to minhag, that's the way people spoke in those days. When they said shcharei rosh, they meant men. So it has to do again with the language and the way of talking, the slang, and that's what they meant when they said shcharei rosh. Okay.
When they said shcharei rosh, didn't that mean that because men, sometimes their hair is covered and sometimes it's revealed? And so women are excluded because they're always covered, and children are because they're always
you said the words of the Gemara, but it needs explanation. That's because why should they call the men black-haired more than the children black-haired?
because men, sometimes their hair is covered, but not always.
You understand that? And if they're always uncovered, so see,
It seems like that's what the words, that's what it's going when it says.
I translated the words and then I'm groping for a pshat. And the Rishonim are groping because the words don't seem to explain. Just because he's always uncovered is not a reason not to call him black-haired. On the contrary, they're always black-haired. The black-headed. The men that sometimes they're covered, sometimes they don't have black hair, sometimes they have a white kafir. So just the fact that they're always uncovered needs explanation. Why is that a reason why they shouldn't be called black-headed? That's what the Mefarshim are dealing with. So the Rush, one of the Mefarshim, one of the pshat in the Rush, he gives a pshat that the distinction between men and women became to be called the black-headed because the men are black-headed and the women are not. But the children, that both the boys and the girls are uncovered heads, so they wouldn't use that distinction, that word for them, because there wouldn't be a distinction between the boys and the girls. So that's how the language developed, that when you say black-headed, you mean men, adult men. You don't mean women, and you don't mean children, even males. Okay, and I guess you'd have to apply to today. How do you people refer to men? How to people refer to girls?
Because today's gonna have the crazy shadow with the people who do.
I know that this Mishnah again has to do with the way people talk. There's a word yilodim or yiludim, question how you pronounce it, and there's a question of, and there's a word called noladim. That has something to do with being born. Yeah, yelad, nolad, has something to do with being born. So the way the Mishnah goes with the Mefarshim is, know that he said yiludim. I don't want to benefit from yiludim. So that would mean those that were already born, those that were born. Mutter v'noladim. He only meant those that were already born. But if there was a child that was not yet born at the time of the neder, and he was born afterwards, he's mutter because the word yiludim meant only those that are already born. They're already born. How about if he said min hanoladim, which you might think means only that those that are gonna be born and they weren't born yet? No. It's also even those that were already born. And it comes out, the Mishnah is going to explain soon, that this opinion holds that the word noladim means born. It doesn't mean was born, it doesn't mean will be born. It means born. Born in contrast to hatched, the Gemara is saying. Like there are those that are not born. There are those that not human beings that come out of an egg, like fish and like Dafka. But
Sorry, you got frozen after you said the word fish. But besides that, again, yulad hayiludim would mean not yet born, or the opposite.
Already born. The first thing in the Mishnah would mean already born, and therefore it says that it's mutter to those that were not yet born. I know that min hayiludim, yiludim. Those that were already born, that's what the word means. The word yiludim means already born. So therefore, mutter v'noladim is mutter in those that were not yet born.
Okay.
Anybody not yet born, at the time of the net, there's going to be mutter. Min hanoladim, which you might take literally, you might think that it means only those that are going to be born, and they weren't born yet. No, also min hayiludim is also even if they were already born.
Oh,
and the word nolad, the Gemara is going to say, it means people that are humans that are born. It doesn't mean that were or are going to be that are born. Rav Meir, now the Rav Meir, I'll just for a second ignore the word just to explain it. But Meir is going to say no, that it's only us, those that are going to be born, not those that were born already. The word af is the difficult word over here. Let's just notice that. I'm not coming to erase it because the Gemara is not going to erase it, but temporarily, if you would skip that word, so then it would mean Rav Meir Mater beyiludim. In the case that he said min hanolodim, Rav Meir says it only means nolodim. It doesn't mean yiludim. So the min hanolodim means those that are going to be born, and therefore Rav Meir says he's mutter those that were already born. Means Rav Meir takes each one literal. Yiludim means those that were already born, and therefore he's mutter those that are going to be born. And the opposite, if he said no lodim, it means those that are going to be born, and he's mutter in those that were born already.
That's everybody.
What?
That's everybody.
No. Again, Rav Meir says there's one word that means the past, and one word means the future.
Right.
Yilodim means they were born, and all of them means they're going to be born.
Wow.
Rav Meir says each one is very specific. If he says Yilodim, he means only those that were already born, and he's mutter in those that are going to be born. If he says no lodim, he means only those that are going to be born, and mutter those that were already born.
And what? Okay, just finish the knowledge.
And the pshat that I said is ignoring the word af. It says af. So we'll get there. The word really af is supposed to be there, and then it doesn't read. But the idea, which the Gemara is going to come out in the Maskana, is the way I'm saying it now. The Gemara is not going to raise it either. The Gemara is just going to explain a long explanation how to fit it into the words. But that's going to be the pshita of a mayor, that each word is being taken literal. Yilodim is literal, and Olodim is literal, and the Chachamim say no. Yilodim is literal, and it means those that were already born, and therefore it's mutter those that were not yet born. But the word Noladim means anybody that's born. The word born, like neutral word, that just means that they are born in contrast to being hatched. And that's all human beings, no matter if they were born already, they're going to be born. That's going to be the Mishnah. Just to finish off, they're repeating their opinion. That means humans that give birth, that are born, not that they were or are going to be. So they hold that the word Noladim includes everything, and everybody says no, it only means those that are going to be born, not those that were born already.
So when he said Noladim means all.
Who are you going? Who?
No, when it means people who are born already.
Rav Meir. Rav Meir says Noladim, only those Noladim is only those that are going to be born.
He says Yiladim.
Everybody holds. If he says Yiladim, it only means those that were born already.
At
not
what
those-
age?
Why do you not
I mean, all creation, all creatures. All people?
It's not all people that were already born, and he doesn't not mean those that are going to be born in the future.
He's
So
for all
Talmud had
people.
that.
He's also all people.
that were born already, but not those that are going to be born after his nether.
So it's really like he's saying all people. Like
but-
when
yeah,
someone
but
makes an edit, I'm
That's not the point of it. Yeah, you're right. The point of the Mishnah is that it means this were they already born. The point that it means people and people are born. That's not the point of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is if it means past or future. And Meir says that each one is literal. This Yilodim means only past, and Nolodim means only future. And the Rabbanan say Yilodim, I agree, means past, but Nolodim doesn't mean future. Nolodim means anybody that's born in contrast to being hatched, which means human beings. Is that good? Okay, the Gemara continues. So the problem is the word af. I took out the word af just to make it readable, but it has the word af. Now you can't read it. If we take out the word af, we'll take it out now, and it doesn't read. Yes, please. So if we
Mute the Sheva, please.
Lev Yaakov, are you saying something?
Would you be able to mute the Sheva? The Can you mute the person, the Sheva, please?
Ah, there's different, someone else's.
I was just thinking about,
Okay.
Thank you.
So okay, very good. So the Gemara has the word af. That's the difficulty. It says in the case where he said no ladim, which means that are going to be born, will be born. But May says it's mutter even those that were already born. If it says even those, that word is tricky. Even those, that means that those that are going to be born are surely mutter. That means saying everybody's mutter. So that doesn't make sense. So something he meant something is asa. That it's mutter afilodim and surely no ladim. Not it's mutter even those that were already born and surely those that are going to be born. Elamiman asa. So who did he ask? He asked somebody. So you have to make it. The Gemara could have just taken out the word af. Take it, but the Gemara doesn't do that. The Gemara, it's hard to take out a word. It's easier to put in words than to take out words. So the Gemara is going to put in a lot of words. And the idea the Gemara is going to say is, af no ladim is the same as yilodim. Means, in other words, let's say it short, that just like in the Resha, you agreed that when he said yilodim, he meant dafka, the past and not the future. So also when he says no ladim, he means dafka the future and not the past. And don't say that the word no ladim means a generic word, anybody that's born, in contrast, someone's being hatched. The same way the Resha, you agree that it means dafka, so and the Seif also means dafka. Also here, the same way, you have to stick in a lot of words. So it's hard, a lot of words to put in, but that's the idea the Gemara is going to say, that Rameh is saying that the Seif is the same as the Resha. Just like in the Resha, you dafka, whatever it says is dafka, so in the Seif is dafka opposite. It should be read like this. That's the beginning of the Mishnah. That's what it says. That if he says, I'm asking those that are born already, he's mutter those that are not born. Also be eludim. Tanakam, this whole Tanakam, leaving it all the same. That those that are nolad, it means everybody. But Meir says no. Just like in the Resha, you said that the word that when he said those that were born, he means dafka, that were born, not those that are not yet born. So too in the Sefer, when he says those that are going to be born, it's dafka, and it's mutter those that were born already. So I just said in the Mishnah, if you take out the word af, it reads very simply, but the Gemara has the word af, so it has to make a surmech in order to get to the same place. Period. Amalei Rav Papa Labaye Lameimra Dinoladim B'Mishaldan Mashma. It seems to say that the word noladim, there's a start again. The name of the noladim, the mishaldan mashma. It seems to say that according to Rav Meir, the word noladim means those that are going to be born. Here's a kasha that from the pasuk. The pasuk uses the word nolad, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be born. It means it was born already, because it says that's Yaakov talking to Yosef and saying that the two sons that nolad to you in Mitzrayim, Reuven v'Shimon Yoli, Ephraim u'Menashe, Reuven v'Shimon Yoli, and Ephraim and Menashe were already born. So it says the word noladim, and it means they were already born. What are you telling me that the word noladim means that they're going to be born? That's not true. So the Gemara is a kasha another way. I say, what do you want to say? You want to say that the word nolad means we're already born. The elidu mashma, from the context, it means that they were born. Here's also the word nolad. And over there, it's talking about a prophecy that's going to be in the far future, that there's going to be somebody born whose name is going to be Yoshio. He wasn't born yet. And it says, nolad the base of Yoshio Shmo. That's the pasuk. It was a prophecy said that a child that's going to be born to the house of David, his name is going to be Yoshio. He was already born. He wasn't far from being born. Even Menashe, his grandfather, was not yet born, and many more generations. That it isn't only his grandfather wasn't born, his great grandfather also wasn't born yet. It goes many generations earlier. But anyway, what does the Gemara want? That the contradiction. The word nolad, when it talks about Ephraim and Menashe, it means that they were born, and when it talks about Yoshio, it means it's going to be born. So it's not a contradiction. What does the word nolad mean? You must say elamash machi, that it can mean either way. But neda, you don't care what the pasuk says. You care how people talk. And Rav Meir says when people say the word born, nolad, they don't mean dafka were born before. That means that they're born. People that he says, I answer for myself and anybody that's born. So you can talk about in English what he means to say what that nuance would have been in English, but the Rabbanan say that it means anybody that's born, in contrast to being hatched. And Rav Meir says that born means that they're going to be born. So don't have any kashas. I mean, Teda Gemara says you can't ask any kashas from Sukkim. That's not the subject of Maseches Nedarim. It depends how people talk. The Gemara ends off that he doesn't mean to say will be born. He means born, to exclude fish and birds that they're hatched. They're not born. But he does mean to ask everybody that's born, no difference if they were already born or they're going to be born. The next Mishnah, very interesting. That's three cases in the Mishnah now. He made a ned that to ask himself, Shovsei Shabbos. The word Shovsei Shabbos, Shovsei means people that rest on Shabbos, that they stop Malach on Shabbos. Asa B'Yisrael, Asa B'Kusim means not a lot of benefit from Jews. Of course, they keep Shabbos, and also kusim. Kutim we don't have nowadays. I think not the original ones, and they kept some of the laws. They didn't keep some of the laws. They were Jewish born, or they were Gerim, but they didn't keep all the laws. So they also kept Shabbos. They also kept Shabbos. So it includes them also, but it doesn't include Goyim. Goyim don't keep Shabbos. He said, I'm answering myself, making a neder from people that eat garlic eaters. So Jews are garlic eaters. Nowadays, maybe they don't so much as they used to, but they used to eat garlic a lot, especially on Shabbos. And there's going to see the Gemara right away, and there's a Gemara later on. There's Gemara Baba Kama. There's the takana to eat garlic Friday night, and people would eat garlic, and they used to eat the Rosh Shuman. It says in the Gemara in Masechah Shabbos that what's called Onik Shabbos to eat Rosh Shuman, Dagim Gedolim, Tashel Shal Shrodin. The regular recipe for Friday night was not chicken soup, gefilte fish, chicken and potatoes. It was some kind of beef stew and big fish and heads of garlic
with beets.
But and also there's a Gemara Baba Kama that says that there was a Takanas Ezra to eat shum, to eat garlic Friday night. So when you say garlic eaters, it means Jews. Also be Yisrael, also Bakusim. So nowadays, I don't know if they're going to still be called garlic eaters. Today we say cholent eaters, gefilte fish eaters. That's going to be called Jews. And Goyim don't eat gefilte fish. They could eat gefilte fish, but that's not called the Jewish food. Ochli shum, in those days, the Jews were called the garlic eaters. And also Yisrael, also Bakusim. Also, Kusim also used to do that. They also used to eat garlic the same way that the Jews did. But the Goyim don't. How about all the Yerushalayim? Those who go up to Yerushalayim, also in Yisrael and Mutter Bekusim, because the Kusim didn't go to Yerushalayim. They used to go to Har Gerizim. They didn't hold the Kedusha of Yerushalayim. So when you say only Yerushalayim, you only mean the Jews. So all of them mean Jews over here. Shofsei Shabbos, Ochlei Shum, all the Yerushalayim. 2 out of 3 mean also the Kusim, Shofsei Shabbos and Ochlei Shum. And the Goyim are not any of them. The Goyim don't keep Shabbos, the Goyim don't eat garlic, and the other Goyim don't go to Yerushalayim. But there was a problem with the first one, because there are some Goyim that keep a Sabbath. My Shofsei Shabbos, what does that mean? Even Makami Shabbos, people who fulfill Shabbos and they don't do work on Shabbos. My Yekusama, people Goyim Nami, Goyim also keep Shabbos. Now, who's the Goyim keeping Shabbos? There might be the Christians. They used to keep their Shabbos on Saturday, then they changed it to Sunday. Some historical event happened that they changed it. They started off like the Jews. You might say also, well, maybe means also that they don't do malacha on Shabbos, maybe because they have the weekend off and they don't do malacha, they don't go to work on Shabbos, maybe, whatever the Gemara means. But the Gemara wants that Goyim also don't do work on Shabbos, so some of them don't. The Gemara says must mean that they're commanded on Shabbos. It doesn't just mean that they don't do work. That they're commanded. And that's why the Jews and the Kusim also Jews, so they're included, but the Goyim are not included, even though they don't do work on Shabbos maybe. They close their shop on Shabbos, but still, they're not commanded to do so. It says by the end of the Mishnah, the third case, that all the Yerushalayim does not include Kutim. But the Kutim are Jews, they're also commanded. If everything depends on the commandment, so Kutim also commanded to go to Yerushalayim. They don't do it, but they're also commanded. You have to have 2 things. It's very interesting that Mitzvah says usually means a different connotation. But here it means you have to have 2 things. One is Mitzvah, one is Osa. That it has to be that the expression means by Lashon B'nai Adam, somebody who's commanded to and also observes it. So by Shabbos, Betati come by Bavika Maisa, Yisrael V'Kusim Mitzvah and Osin, and Goyim Ahudei Avdi Osin Ve'ena Mitzvah. In the first 2 cases, who's commanded and observes? The Jews and the Kusim, that they are commanded and observed to keep Shabbos, and they also eat garlic. That the Kohen has to do with the Ezra Sakon. Here the Gemara says that it's Mitzvah Vosa. That means that has to do with the Kohen Ezra to eat garlic Friday night. So the Jews and the Kusim, they would keep both of those takonos. And by the Goyim, even if they do keep Shabbos, they are not commanded to, so they're not included. But by Yerushalayim, Yisrael Mitzvah Vosa and Kusim Mitzvah Vosa. By Yerushalayim, it's true that the Jews and the Kusim are commanded to, but only the Jews do it. So only ones that are included are the Jews because they're Masubah and they're also Osa. So that's everything depends on the time and the place again. But here it says that the word Shofsei Shabbos would mean Jews and Kusim because they're commanded and they keep Shabbos. Ochlei Shum also they're commanded and they keep the takana of Ezra to eat shum. The goyim, even if they would do both of these things, they're not included because they're not commanded to. In the last case of Ali Yerushalayim, the goyim are not commanded. The Yisrael and Kusim are commanded, but the Kusim don't do it, so they're also not included. Next case, what does the term Bnei Noach mean? Jews are also Bnei Noach. No, Mutar Yisrael goyim. Only goyim are included in Bnei Noach, and Yisrael is not included. And the question is why not? They're also Bnei Noach. Yisrael minafik mefal Bnei Noach. The answer is given the Iktish Avram Iskru al Shmei. Once Avram came on the scene, so then they're not called Bnei Noach anymore. Of course, they're Bnei Noach. They're also born from the posterity of Noah, but that's not the point. They're not referred to as Bnei Noach anymore. It has to do with Lashon Bnei Adam. What if he says Zera Avram, Sheni Nena Zera Avram, also be Yisrael Mutar B'Goyim, that only Jews are called the seed of Avram. The Goyim are not called seed of Avram. And the kash is that there was also seed of Avram, like that's the Goyim also. But Yishmael also was the seed of Avram. The answer is that's where Avram was talking to Hashem, and Avram said that have Yishmael already. So Hashem said, no, there's going to be Yitzchak, that your children are going to be called. Your seed is going to be called Yitzchak, and Yitzchak is going to be called your seed. Yishmael is not called your seed, even though physically he was a child, but that's not called the Zera Avram. Only Yitzchak. How about afterwards? Yitzchak had Yaakov and Esav. Esau. So are you saying that only means the Jews and the Goyim are excluded? Yeah, the Goyim also should be. The Goyim also should be included.
Should I turn off the computer then, and we'll just go on the phone?
The Goyim are also included because Esav, it's true that Yishmael was excluded, but then Yitzchak had Esav, so then Esav was also called Zera, Avram, and Yitzchak. The answer is Bi Yitzchak, part of Yitzchak, below called Yitzchak. Not all of Yitzchak, only part of Yitzchak, which means only Yaakov. And as Machavusa said, that over there the pasuk is talking about the ones who are going to get Eretz Yisrael, the nation of Avram is going to continue, and they're going to get Eretz Yisrael. And as we see that Eretz Yisrael in the Torah says already that it was given to the children of Yaakov, and Esav was given Har Seir. So both from the Yukim of the pasuk and also from the whole Torah, you see that only the children of Yisrael, of Yaakov, have to be Zera, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, in order to be called the Zera Avram. The rest of the Mishnah, the next Mishnah is a little different of a topic. We're going to come back again tomorrow night. We'll come back again to the subject of what certain terms mean. But here the Gemara goes to a different point. It doesn't talk about it talks about two topics over here. One is called Eini Nen and Mi Yisrael, that case Yisrael Nen and Li. And the Gemara is not going to talk about who's called the Yisrael. That's not the subject now. Here the point's going to be when you're not allowed to benefit, how do you do business? If you're not allowed to benefit from
Why didn't
a Jew.
Mark could have spoke about when you said the Shayne enemy and Ladim with people, how you benefit. It's more of a problem then, because it's only Jews that you could do.
Right. If he did, and then he wouldn't be allowed to benefit from anybody then. That's true. But the one is giving an example about Jews. It's going to end off that in the case where he's us at the Jews in both ways, and then he's going to have to do business with Goyim. It's true. The Gemara continues. I'll just highlight one more thing over here that I should have. Okay, so the Mishnah says, "She'eni nedarim Yisrael." If someone says, "I'm not going to benefit from any Jew," so how does he do business with it? Is he allowed to do business? Is he allowed to buy? Is he allowed to sell? That's also called benefiting, maybe. So it says, "Lokech v'yoseh mocha b'pachas." He'll have to buy for more than the going price. Then it's not called that he benefited, even though he was able to buy something. He might call that a benefit. Since he had to buy more expensive than the going price, that's not called a benefit. He'd be allowed to do that, but he has to pay more. If he goes to a store of a Jew and buys for the going rate, he wouldn't be allowed to do that because he's not allowed to benefit from a Jew, and he's considered benefiting. If he wants to sell something, he'd have to sell less than the going price because that is called that he didn't benefit. If he made a bad deal by selling for less than the going price, it's not called a benefit, even though he did benefit something, but that's not called the benefit that was intended. How about the opposite? If he said he's making a neder.
Thank you for calling. Thank you so much. I always want to call you, but then I think I don't want to interrupt your day. You up.
If he says Sheisrael Nen and Li, that he's making that no Jew should benefit from him. He's answering himself on other people, on the Jews, so they're not allowed to benefit from him. Could he do business? Could he buy and sell? So then they say im shamalo. it's going to be hard for him to do business. But in order for him to do business, he's going to have to buy for cheaper than the going price. That's called that the seller did not benefit from him because he gave it to him for less than the going price. So then he'd be allowed to buy.
In means yes, they listen to him.
I changed the word to if. If it means if we get such a person, it says in the side in. It says here, but Sefer.
Okay, if they listen to him, he does it.
If we get such a customer that will agree to buy from him, to sell to him for less than the going price, he may do it. Like you could put him Shomolo in parentheses, like if he's lucky enough to get such a customer. In the first case, people are happy to do business with him because he's not allowed to benefit from them. So then he's going to buy for more expensive. He goes into the store and asks for an item and they tell him the price. He adds on to the price. Or if he's selling something, he's going to deduct from the price. That's people are happy to do business with him. But in the second case, that he made a neder that people cannot benefit from him. So when he wants to buy something, he has to buy it for less than the going price. It's going to be hard to find a seller who's going to want to sell to him for less than the going price. And the other case is Mocha B'Yoser, he wants to sell something, he has to sell it for more expensive than the going price. And again, that's hard to get such a customer. Im Shomelo. If you can get people that'll do that, so fine, he's allowed to. But the point is that he wouldn't be allowed to sell or buy for the regular price because then it's going to be considered that the other person is benefiting from him. And the last case, he really messed himself up. Sheni Nena Lahen Vein Li. He made a two-way neder that I'm not going to benefit from them. They're not going to benefit from me. So then he can't have any kind of business with a Jew, not to buy, not to sell, because someone's benefiting. Yena the Goyim. Then he has to Yahana. Then he has to have business only with Goyim because he's also to do any business with the Jews, not to buy, not to sell. Even there's no eights of doing it for expensive price or a cheaper price. Everything's called enough for somebody. The Gemara brings a statement of Shmuel and tries to figure out if it's contradictory to our Mishnah. Amar Shmuel, halakeh kli min ha'uman levakro v'nenis biyado chayev. Maybe we'll just highlight that to get Shmuel's statement. Amar Shmuel, halakeh kli min ha'uman levakro. Someone picked up a kli from a craftsman in order to check it. He wants to know if he wants to buy it. He goes to a potter, whatever it might be, or something fragile, a glass. He goes to a store where they sell glasses and he picks it up in order to check if he wants to buy it. And then it's biyado, an onus happened and it got broken. He has to pay for it. He didn't buy it yet. He didn't buy it, then the onus happened, he has to pay for it. Now, it seems that this is not the halachos of mazik over here, because it doesn't say that he was mazik it, not that he damaged it, and you're coming to complain to him because you damaged it. An onus happened. The mamash wasn't his fault. And something happened and it got stolen, or even an onus happened, he has to pay. And the question is, why should he have to pay? He didn't buy it yet. Why is he responsible? So the Gemara understands right away. The Gemara is going to say the reason is because he's a shoel. It's a very interesting way to look at it. That when someone goes to a store and picks something up, even before he buys it, he's borrowing it because he's going to get all the benefit. We look at it like you're taking it and you're checking it. Why are you doing this for? Because you want to buy it. So you're a shoel. You're borrowing it. And a show is chayv nonsen, not because you damaged it, but because you have to watch it. You're having the benefit of using it, holding it, taking it to the counter, and it's not yours yet, but you're benefiting from it. And that benefit is called a show, and the show is chayv even nonsen.
That's halacha.
That's what it seems to say.
And that would be like if someone is buying an esrog and they want to have the rough check it, so they take it, and then let's say it has a pitom and the pitom falls off. They'd have to pay for that.
Right, that's what it seems to say. And you can have it also the whole year round. You go to the store and you pick up a bottle of something.
And wine, 500 shekel bottle of wine.
Okay, making it more dramatic. And if he dropped it, then I think for sure, if he dropped it, then for sure he'd be chayv because he was mazik. But even if a case where it's a mamish and onus, that an example that a dog ran into the store and jumped on him and it wasn't his fault at all, but he's a shoel and the shoel is chayv even anonsen. So he'd be chayiv. So that's a chiddush. I just heard nothing to do with Allah. I just heard from the grocer that there's a law now, at least in Eretz Yisrael, that you don't have to pay for it until even if it got damaged, even if he dropped it, and even if it was his fault, I think also they don't charge. I think that's the law, but nothing to do with the Gemara. It has to do with the Menach HaMedina. If they made such a new law, so then that would be the law of the land, and you go with that b'chora.
That could be Darkei Shalom, I think.
Out of Osha'ad. Flipped over and it went.
Oh, you were out already, on the way out.
On the way, but I was still in the store.
But you bought it, but you
I
paid for it already,
paid for
and
it
still
already.
you were able
And the
to,
guy just told me go.
And get another
your
one.
daughter, just take another one.
even
Don't
after you
worry
paid.
about it, we'll clean it up.
That I'm not
Even
sure
if
if
I
the
paid.
guard is correct, because then you paid already, that's the minute, and maybe the guard was a nice guy, but I don't know if he was
He
a
I
lot
was
of.
ready, went to the thing, I was right on my way out, it
Uh-huh.
tipped over, it went smash.
It could be that's the law, you have to
And,
understand, it could be that.
That's
He would have
huge
said-
Kiddush.
Yeah, but could
No,
be.
your law
it
is
could-
totally off the wall.
Yeah, it could be that
I
one,
don't know if that's the law.
uh-huh, then he's not allowed to
Could be
do
the
that.
guard didn't understand the law.
And then he's not allowed
The
to do
law
that.
makes sense until you pay, but once you
Till
pay
you-
already,
The
why?
general stores are more makel today because they want to encourage people to come and.
Not to be scared that they're gonna drop
That's what I was saying, Darkei Shalom.
Darkei Shalom is, I'm not sure what Darkei Shalom means, it's, I'm listening to saying Darkei business.
Okay,
Yes.
dark business, fine, I agree. They want to do it so that people will come and buy, and they won't be afraid to come and buy there.
Yeah, could be. I heard that there's a law like that. The grocer told me that there's a law, but I don't know the details of the law. But here we're going according to the Ikra Din, if there's no minhag, so then it says that he's high because he's a shoel, because he's called that he's borrowing it until he buys it, he's borrowing it, and the borrower is high v'nonsin. Alma kasab anas lokeachi. So you
I'm
see,
sorry, but you're saying that not in the words, right? The Meforshim say he's a shoel. We
it's right
didn't.
here. The Gemara says, you see that it's called the benefit of the lokeach, and the Meforshim say that's called the shoel. Yes, but how else could you learn? It doesn't say the word shoel. It
Shoel
says-
isn't there. I don't know where you're getting the word shoel.
And it says that you see that it's called the benefit of the buyer. As when you make a sale, who's the one who's benefiting? Is it the seller or the buyer? I would say both. That's why they're doing. That's why they're both doing the transaction, both of them. But the Gemara is not happy with that. Who's the one who's benefiting from a sale? So soon the Gemara is going to talk about a beer deal, a good deal, extra beer deal. But the regular,
He has the upper hand in this case. The lokeach has the upper hand, that he doesn't have to pay for it. Oh no, it says chayav. The lokeach has the lower hand. I'm sorry.
yes, and the Gemara explains that you see the fact that he's chayiv. Why is he chayiv? Because he's considered a shoel. Why is he considered a shoel? Because it's considered he's the one who's benefiting from the deal. He's taking it. He picked it up, and he's the one who's going to benefit because he's going to buy it. And it's considered that he's the one who's benefiting, and the one who's selling is not considered the one who's benefiting, and therefore he's a shoel, and therefore he's chayv v'nonsin. And the Gemara is going to ask, is that true? But Shmuel, by saying this halacha, he's saying that the buyer is a shoel, and the Gemara is going to analyze if that's true. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah. It doesn't sound like that in our Mishnah. It says she'eni nedarim Yisrael mocha b'pachos, that if someone has a neder on himself that he's not going to benefit. If he wants to sell something, he has to sell less than the going price. Then it's going to be called that he didn't benefit. Less than the going price. Why can't he sell it for the regular price? He can't sell it for the regular price. Why not? Because that's or else it's going to be called that he's benefiting it. But you're saying that a sale is not called the benefit of the seller, it's the benefit of the buyer. If you say that a sale, a regular sale, is considered the benefit of the buyer, he should be able to sell it even for the going price because he's not benefiting, the buyer is benefiting. The Gemara looks at it for some reason that I don't understand the lumdis. I would say that every sale, both of them are benefiting. The Gemara doesn't look at it like that. The Gemara is saying Shmuel holds that a regular sale, the buyer is benefiting, and that's the Gemara's kasha that our Mishnah seems to say that a regular sale is considered a benefit for both of them. That's usually the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara, in order to answer Shmuel, the Gemara says, "Masnisen bezvina derami alape." The Mishnah, where it says the only way to sell it is for less than the going price, is only by something that the mocher wants to get rid of. The word that's not, he has it in his store a long time, he wants to get rid of it. Clearance sale. Derami alape literally means that it's thrown in his face. It's in his face. Machabusha said this is the expression in Hebrew also, al panav. That it's usually we say like fell on his face, al panav. But I'm not sure if that's how we would say it even in Hebrew nowadays. That he has something that it's in his way. The seller doesn't want it. It's not going well, and he's waiting for a customer finally comes in. He's happy to sell it. So over there, it's considered a benefit for the seller. And if he has a neder not to benefit, he can't sell it for the regular price because it's considered a benefit to get rid of this thing, and therefore you have to sell it for more expensive. But the Mishnah is an exceptional case. The regular case would be considered the benefit of the buyer and not of the seller. And he can sell it for a regular price. The seller is not considered the benefit. The more looks at it, for some reason it's totally haba. If the buyer is the one who's benefiting, the seller is not the one who's benefiting. And Shmuel said that the buyer is the one who's benefiting. So the seller on a regular price is not considered the one who's benefiting. So if even though he had there's not a lot of benefit, he would be allowed to sell it for the going price. Only if it's something which he's trying to get rid of already a long time, and finally someone wants to buy it, then it'll be considered a benefit for him, and he'll have to sell it for less than the going price. But the more is a problem. The ratio doesn't fit with this. It says lokeach v'yoser. It says if he wants to buy, the same case. It says this person had a neder on himself that he's not going to benefit. It says lokeach v'yoser. If he wants to buy from a Jew, he'll have to buy for more than the going price. And what does the Gemara say? That means that if you say that when there's a zvina lape, if you say when there's a product difficult to sell, so it's considered the benefit of the seller, then it's not considered the benefit of the buyer. So why does the buyer have to buy it for more than the regular price? Let him buy to the regular price, because in this particular case, that item is hard to sell, so it's considered the benefit of the seller. But the aim of sefer also, the sefer doesn't sound like that. She's thrown then and Lee in the case where the neder was that they're not going to benefit from me. So he has to do let's talk about the mocha v'yoser part, that he has to sell for more than the going price, or else the buyer is going to benefit. If you say that the case of the Mishnah is talking about that it's a hard to sell item, that the mocha wants to get rid of it already, then he should be allowed to sell it for the regular price, meaning that this person made a neder that people are not going to benefit from me. So if he sells it for the regular price, are they benefiting from him? The Gemara's kasha is that if it's talking about an item that it's trying to get rid of, then it's considered the mocha's benefit, and it's not considered the lokeach's benefit. So he should be allowed to sell it for the regular going price. I don't understand this Gemara, why it has to be that if one benefits, the other one's not. Why can't it be both of them are benefiting? I don't understand the lumdus over here that only one is benefiting. So I don't get this dependency. The Gemara is not bothered to say sefer b'zvina charifa, that the sefer is talking about that it was a good deal. The opposite of this one, the two opposites are there's a bad deal and there's a good deal. Zvina the azamri alape, when it's on his face, it's another way of saying it. So he wants to get rid of it. The mocha's benefit to get rid of it. If it's a zvina charifa, that means that it's a good deal, that the buyers want to buy it, and that's considered the benefit of the buyer. In a regular case, what does Shmuel say? In a regular case, Shmuel seemed to have said in the regular case that the benefit is the buyer. And here the Gemara is saying, again, it's been a charifa, that it was a good deal, and that's why it's considered the benefit of the buyer. So how come it says that if it's considered a good deal, and that's the benefit of the buyer, how come it says that the person who is not allowed to benefit from you will have to buy for less than the person who's not a lot of benefit from you? It says he has to buy for less. Again, I'm sorry, the opposite. That the one who made the neder that he's not going to benefit, and if she's thrown that and Lee, that's
the hard case, wasn't it?
We're going into safer now.
The second case.
He's thrown that and Lee. He made a neder that Jews won't benefit from me. If he wants to buy something, he has to buy it for less than the going price in order that it shouldn't be a benefit for the seller. He sold it for a terrible price. He sold it for a low price. So the seller didn't benefit. But if it's talking about that it's a good deal, it's been a charifa, it's something that there are a lot of buyers available for it, he should be allowed to buy it even for a regular price, because it's considered the benefit of the buyer. It's not considered the benefit of the seller. If he made a neder, he's not going to give benefit to others, and someone wants to sell him something. So we want to make sure that the seller is not going to benefit. So what do we tell him? That it should be a bad price, a low price. That way the seller didn't benefit. But even if it be the regular price, the going price, but here we're going now that it would be considered the benefit of the buyer, and it's not the benefit of the seller. So how do you reconcile our Mishnah? Ella, Amad Beis, Masnisna Bezvina Mitzah. With the Shmuel Bezvina Charifa, the Gemara changes that a regular sale, the Mishnah Amid, maybe this is the way we would understand. Also, maybe that Masnisna Bezvina Mitzah. Mitzah means average, like Emtzah. A regular sale is considered l'chora, the benefit of both. Maybe that's how we would understand also. That both of them are considered benefit. If it's a regular price, average price, both of them are benefiting. He wants to buy, he wants to sell. And therefore, the Mishnah says you have to make sure there's no benefit, sell for more, buy for less, whatever the case would be. But the Shmuel, Bizvina Charifa, the din that, back to the din of Shmuel, means that we talked about that this is the halacha, back to the highlighted halacha of Shmuel, that if somebody, onus happened when he was buying something before he bought it, he was just picking it up to check it, then the onus happened, he's chayiv, that's only, and it's considered the benefit of the buyer, and for some reason not of the seller, that's why he's a shoel. That's only where it's a great deal. And the buyer doesn't benefit at all that you're buying it because there are 10 people waiting online to buy it. So that's not considered a benefit. So you are benefiting from it, and that's a shoel. But if it will be a regular case, that's what it seems in the Gemara. If it will be a regular price, maybe that's what we're talking about in the regular stores. That's a regular price. It's not considered a big deal. So then it's considered a benefit to both of them, and it wouldn't be dafka shoel. The din that Shmuel said, the way the Gemara comes out, the din that Shmuel said that the buyer is considered a shoel and therefore his chayv owns him is only where it's a good deal. Then the seller is not considered benefiting. He has 10 customers waiting, so that's not considered a benefit from him that you're buying from him. And the buyer is the one who's benefiting, and that's when he'll be chayv owns him because he's considered a shoel. So a little bit not the way we started off. We started in the beginning. We thought that always the lokech is the benefiter. Now we came out that a regular sale, both of them are benefiting, and therefore it's not going to be called a shoel. It's not called kol hano shelo. The seller is also benefiting. Shmuel's talking about a case where there was a great deal, and the buyers are all standing on line. Then he's considered a shoel, and the seller is not considered benefiting, and therefore if an onus happens, he have to pay. Tani Kivas of the Shmuel. It's going to bring a price like Shmuel. I think of the price that's only going to bring that there is such a case that he has to pay, but not after what we just explained. We explained now that's not if it's going to be a good deal. What is there in the brisa? A person is buying something from a merchant in order to send a present to his father-in-law's house, which means he's a chassan, and he wants to send a present to his kala. And this is the way they do it nowadays also, that when they want to buy jewelry and stuff like that, so they don't just buy the jewelry, they take it and they say, I want to sell it to my kala if she wants it, and if not, I'll bring it back. So nowadays, I think the way the system is, a tager is a merchant. And I think that nowadays, if you don't want it, you just give it back. You're not obligated at all. But here, the deal was that even if he gives it back, he's going to at least pay something minimal for the benefit that he was brought the present, and they saw that he wants to bring a present. That's also worth something. That the kala sees that a chas wants to bring a present, even though she didn't like anything, but he benefited from it. So therefore, he used to pay something similarly, something minimal. So here's the case. If someone bought something from a merchant in order to send it to his father-in-law's house, which means his kala, and he told the merchant, if they're going to want it as a present, I'll pay for it. I'll pay you, I'll buy it from you. And if not, they don't want to take it, so I'm going to pay you for the benefit that I got from it, that they saw that I'm a good chassan and I want to bring a present. And then answer. And then an onus happened, and he lost it. Whatever, he lost it again. Onus happened. Ganav came, or worse, an onus happened. So it says, if it happened on the way, going to his kala, so then he's chai because he's a shoel. Here it is. This is the proof to Shmuel that he's considered a shoel. All the benefit is his. He didn't buy it yet, but he's benefiting. You have to say, according to the way the Gemara explained before, you have to say this case is talking about where it was a good deal. If it wouldn't be extra good deal, then both of them are considered benefiting. But since it's an extra good deal, he's considered a shoel and he's chayiv. But that does end up. On the way back, what does on the way back mean? That he knows that they're not going to, he said they don't want it.
Right? The kala didn't like it?
Kala didn't like it, and he's taking it back. So now he's not considered a shoel anymore, because for the service that he's doing now, he's paying for. He's going to pay. He said he's going to pay whatever amount. He's going to pay $25, for being able to show it to kala. So that's considered no say socha. Means there's a shoel means that he gets the benefit without paying for it. But and that's considered on the way there. That's considered the shoel is all considered his benefit, and the tager is not considered benefiting because he gave him a good price. But that's only on the way there. But on the way back, what he's going to pay for the service that he's getting. That's considered no say socha, and he'd be potter. he'd be he's potter on owners. He's chayiv gnei b'aveda, but he's potter on owners. One more story.
I'm
Who?
sorry, the shehu is the merchant,
No, the
the guy
chassid.
who's returning it.
Yes, he's considered no say so. He's considered a no say socha. Am I making a mistake?
What does nosei sachar mean?
Yeah, the guy.
He's renting it. He's said he's going to have to pay for what.
Shomer socha. He's a shomer socha. Is that the way you say?
No, Noisy Sock is a guy that I think
Second, no?
he gets paid for watching. Isn't that Noisy
That's a
Sock?
shomer socha. That he gets paid for watching it. Is that true over here?
He's a sefer,
getting-
he's renting it. He's renting. I'm renting a piece of jewelry to show to my kala,
Mhm.
and no,
I thought he was going to have to pay for. He said he'll pay for the tova. Wasn't he the guy that took it to the kala? He was the
Yes.
one that's going to pay for the tova of the tanah.
Right, and that money we're saying is the reason why he's not considered a shower. Because he's paying for that benefit that he's getting. That's like a socher, is it not? That's like he's renting it. What?
Oh, I see. He is like he's being paid to watch it because he's not.
Shomer socher
So he
means
gets
that he
paid
gets
for
paid
watching
for watching it.
Right.
Is he getting? Who's getting paid for
not
watching
getting
it? He's not getting paid. He's paying. He's paying
He's
for.
paying-
He's renting it.
Right.
It's like he's renting it.
Right.
If someone will go to the store lachatchila and tell the merchant, "I'm not buying it. I just want to rent it. I know she's not going to like it, but I just want to show it and get a good. So I'm renting it. I'm going to give it back to you." So that's show of sofer. That's what happened now. In the beginning, he didn't know. He had a it's not that he's going to buy. That he's considered a shower. But if the whole deal now, once he knows that he's just bringing it back, it's only going to be renting it, and he's paying for it. So no
Why
such
not?
thing.
He's not renting anymore. Now he's just returning. Once he showed it to her, she doesn't want. But now he's just returning.
And he's paying for the benefit that
That he had
had.
till now.
That's a shomer sofer.
He's
That's a
paying-
socher. That's a socher.
Usually as sefer, he's using it till he returns it. And not
So
necessarily-
the socher.
He didn't give return.
What does the socher do? Somebody rented a bike and he's returning it now.
Right.
So he
use that, use
paid
it-
for the benefit that he got. So here he paid for the benefit. He's gonna pay for the benefit that he got. He's obligated to pay for that benefit. So it's not a show. I think that's a pshat. And a no-say socher means that he's a socher. A no-say socher is a socher.
It's a renter.
I've got the terminology in Bab Metzia, what a no-say socher. That's what it seems to be over here.
Is chayiv on giving nothing?
And he's potter on own sin. And he's potter. This is
Shomer Soch is a renter.
Shomer Socher.
There's a show, uses it.
Right, so he, right.
And there's a.
There's a shomer chinam, shomer socher, a shoel, and a socher. There's four, right? Dalit shomer.
Right.
So it might have the same din as a shomer socher,
Right.
but there's a shomer socher means that he's being a paid custodian,
Right.
and a socher means that he's renting it. So it seems here that he's renting it. One more story. Who's Safsira, the Shokol Charmel is Wune. There was a Safsir. A Safsir is a middleman, a agent, a kind of what else is it called? He's a middleman that a broker. We call him a broker kind of a thing. The Shokol Charmel is Wune. He took a donkey in order to sell it. Means he didn't buy the donkey. He's going to try to sell the donkey for somebody. Below Isbin, he wasn't able to sell it. Bahadi the Hoda, when he was coming back to give the donkey back to the owner, I couldn't sell it. Isnes Chamra, the onus happened to the donkey. So what do you consider this? Was he have to pay for it or not? So if Nachman said he has to pay. So the question was, is on the way back already. So he's only a socher. And he should be chapat and gnei b'aveda. Eis ve'rabel of Nachman, Nansu, ba'alicha chai, v'chazar potter. It said a second ago, but a person bought the jewelry, got the jewelry, and the onus happened. So if he's on the way, he's considered a shomer socher, a shoel, if it's a good price. But on the way back, he's potter because he's paying for that service which he got, which is considered a socher. So here too, the fact that he's on the way back already, he shouldn't be considered a shoel. Amalei chazar da safsira alachi. Even this broker, even on the way back, he's still on the way. Why? Because he's never finished. If he's going to find a buyer even by the door of the owner, is he not going to sell it? He's still on the job. he gave up, but he's still, if you find somebody on the way, he still will sell it. So it's not that he's finished. So he's still benefiting, the benefit of a shoel, that he's benefiting, that if he makes a sale, he's going to be able to make the money. That's considered a shoel. All the benefit is his. So then he is chayiv. If it would be a person who was thinking of buying it, and once he got the news that the Kala doesn't want it, he's not going to buy it anymore. So it's all. The whole thing is finished. And he's just going to sell her for the benefit of having offered it. But the broker over here, he never finished the job. Till he gets it back, he's still interested in selling it. So therefore, he's still a show. Atkan. Yes, go ahead, everybody. Thank you.
So tomorrow night, 6:30.
Tomorrow night, 6:30. And we should finish the parak tomorrow, which will make us on par with the rest of the world.
Okay.
And Bez Hashem, we should continue the journey of Daf Yomi together with everybody else.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, go ahead, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kalta, be well.
Okay.